Yep, we're live. What's up, everyone? Scott Brandt coming to you on this beautiful Thursday evening. Had a great evening tonight. Hung out with some friends. Listened to some musicians jam out. Listened to the guitar, some songwriters, some singers. It was a beautiful thing to get together. And as we can see right here, we've got some merch that we are working with 2NS. So I posted something on my Facebook profile, and Patrick also did too, with a couple of hats. We got another one also, and Patrick's got one. So it's a beautiful thing. We got stuff going on here. So as you already know, the one saying that I like is "Let's go." We gotta go. Big things coming. And then it's just, oh man, it's a beautiful thing when you see things start coming to fruition. Ended up receiving the payment for the sponsorship that we have with Jasper. And want to give a shout out to Jasper Axelrad with the Kabbalah Mexican Cuisine. What's up, Jasper? You know, we got the merch on, so that's something that we're working on getting out there. So if you guys are interested, let us know. If you're interested on getting some merch, we'll be working on some shirts and reinvesting back into the business. So it's a good time. But I want to give Jasper a shout out. She just made a comment. So if you guys are interested, go check out the food truck. Go check out Tabala. I know Halloween night they'll be out at Black Hat Distillery doing some stuff for Halloween fun and madness and good times there. So we'll be sitting down. Maybe in regards, it depends. Haven't heard from Patrick yet, so we're waiting for Patrick to get back. But yeah, it was wonderful. And then on the ride tonight, taking Patrick back to his house and whatnot, we were just talking. So we got some different things, big things that we have planned with what's going to take place with 2NS. And that's going to be exciting to see that come to fruition. So it's a beautiful thing when you start seeing things coming together and whatnot. And so Jasper over here has got trying to think of team costumes. So yeah, if you go down there and see them, they may be dressed up as a team. I know she had talked about Josie and the Pussycats or something like that. So we'll see what they come out with and whatnot. But oh man, I'm just excited. Excited to have that. And then I know Patrick posted something with another food truck rollout down in the Fountain area that I think will be live streaming with them next week. So I think we're looking at next Wednesday. So check out that live. We got some things that they're offering us to give back to our listeners. So things are just lining up. It's a beautiful thing when it starts happening that way. And we have this collaboration piece that's going around. But yeah, I'm excited. So, but it's just one of those things that you start coming together. You have big visions. You got people that are visionaries and whatnot, and they start finding individuals that line up. And so it's a beautiful thing with Two Native Sons. And I have to laugh because there's a book I've been reading. So it's just one of the extra books that I read. And I've talked about this a little bit. It's Moonshots by Naveen Jain. An awesome book. I highly suggest getting it. It goes right in line with the Buddha and the Badass. And Vasheen actually had talked about moonshots. And so there's a couple of things in here that really, really resonates and really, really sticks out with what we're doing and whatnot. And let me see here. One was fear is correlated to desire, not to hope. And it's, man, when I think about that, fear is correlated to desire, not to hope. If you're desiring something, it may be an idea that it could be a mindset of lack. And so you may be lacking something, so you're desiring to have that because you have that lack mindset, and that's where the fear can kick in. And it's just one of those things that you start thinking and start looking and really have to take a deep dive and start considering and whatnot. So it's just another way to look at it. But when you start doing the work, you have that open mind, you start reading and you start doing the personal growth, things start aligning, things start matching up, and you're like, okay, I can see it. And so it makes you think differently. The other thing that is very powerful, and this was talking about, the heart of their fear is a feeling of powerlessness, but powerlessness too is a choice. And so I think that's a big one to think about that too, is if you feel you have that fear because you don't have control over something, that powerlessness that you may be feeling, that's a choice. You have a choice to decide, are you going to allow that to overtake you, or are you going to do something different? And so it starts with your thoughts. Thoughts are very powerful. And it's a powerful thing when you start seeing this and you can start connecting the dots and start doing the work and have that open mind to really look into it and whatnot. The next thing was, and this is big. So if you have a dream, if you had an imagination, go run. That's what's been proven with Two Native Sons, with Patrick and I, with what we're doing. It's like, hey, here's an idea. All right, cool. What steps do we need to take? Or what action do we need to do next? And so I was joking with Patrick, and I was like, I've got to have a notebook with me now, because there are things that will pop, and I'll be like, hey, let's do this, or I'll send them a text and be like, hey, this came up to thought and whatnot. And then it's like, we have so much going on that we got to start writing. So we got to have this notebook. So for all I know, we could have quite a few notebooks full of ideas, which is a beautiful thing. We start looking at the correlation piece, start connecting, start doing big things. But this goes with imagination. Rather than regulating the future, perhaps we should spend more energy deregulating imagination and mustering a little faith in the process. This goes in line with, you've got to use your imagination. You have an imagination. Use that for the creative process to start thinking about things that you can do. Start thinking about the things that you're passionate about, and think about the different ways that you can fulfill that passion. And it's all imagination. It's creative. It's a creative process. And so we've had too many people that will give up on their dreams. They'll put the dreams in a box, put it up on a shelf to never be seen again, because they were told, oh, you can't do that. That's crazy. That's impossible. And Jason from last night's Dreamer Cypher, he gave the perfect example for himself, with people telling him that's not going to be able to accomplish. You're not going to be able to do that because that market share, there's nothing out there, in regards to what he's doing and what he spoke on right there, using his imagination. He didn't let people tell him this is impossible, you can't do it. And that's the power when we start doing these Dreamer Ciphers, these roundtables, and just having real unscripted conversations. It allows a person to show up and be true to themselves and show who they truly are. And so that's something that we told Jason. Patrick told him last night before we started live, is like, hey, we know you don't know what we're going to talk about, but that's how we want it, because we want you to be authentic. We want you to be real. We want you to show up unscripted. Too many times we'll have people that will be like, hey, let's sit down and talk, but we can't talk about this. We'll talk about this. That doesn't work out. We have to show up real, raw, unscripted. We got to have those tough conversations. You have to have an open mind that somebody may say something that may make you a little upset. Maybe you get offended by whatever they say. I'm one that I will say fuck, and that may offend you. I don't know, and I can't apologize for that, because you've got to ask yourself, why are you offended by it? What's making you distressed? What's making you upset? Because that's your lens that you look at life through. And so for me, it's just being true, real, unscripted, coming up and just creating that as the Fuji lifestyle. And a lot of people should start understanding what the Fuji is. But that's coming along with the brand. That's what we're doing. That's what we're helping people do, is create that type of lifestyle. Because we can't be going around trying to get validation from other people. We can't be validated by the opinions of others, because opinions of others, you got some people that will have an idea one time and say, this is what I believe, or you shouldn't be doing this. And then they're going to flip it like 10 minutes later, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, you'll be able to do it. You're like, can you make up your damn mind? Can you stick with something? Instead of being like, oh, here's the trend, I'm going to jump on that boat and we're going to go. Like, you're not being true to yourself. If you believe something, hold tight. This is one thing I tell people. I'm like, why are we doing this? You'll have somebody that will apologize because they're frustrated, they're upset. Like Lauren Chesmore, we had her on the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. That was 2 weeks ago. And she was talking about something that was very near and dear to her heart. And she started getting upset and she started crying. And she apologized for that. And I was like, why are you apologizing? There's not a reason to apologize for that, because that's who you are. That's near to your heart. So don't apologize for something that is true to yourself. Stick with it. And if you feel like you're offending somebody, don't apologize. That's your belief. That's what you see. That's your opinion. Too many people are like, I want to make everybody happy. I don't want to make nobody sad. That ain't going to happen, because guess what happens? If you're trying to make everybody happy, you know who the person who's going to be upset and sad is you in the end, because you're not being true to yourself. You've got to show up raw, real, unscripted, authentic. And that's tough for people, because they have been so ingrained to show up one way that's not true to themselves. And it doesn't help out anything. It does not help out that relationship. I've had people that I've known very, very little, and they'll say something, and I sit there and listen, and they say this, they'll say whatever 3-4 times. And then I'm like, maybe you should look at it maybe this way. Maybe you should do it this way. I'm not going to apologize, because I'm listening and I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're speaking. And what you're speaking is something it's on your mind and maybe bothering you, or maybe you don't know what to do. So I'm going to speak what I feel is true to myself. It may make you upset, may make you unhappy. Okay. But I'm going to be true to myself. And sometimes the truth sucks. Sometimes the truth hurts. But I'm showing up. So this is one of those things that we have to look at it differently and whatnot. And so this is, was it here? This is something that we really need to take into consideration, really think about. The future ain't what it used to be. It's actually much, much more. What's more, we can make any future we can imagine, and we can imagine any future we want to create. Think about that. What you imagine is what you're going to create. So if you imagine this future, it's going to be created. Your thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts put out vibrations. Your thoughts put out frequencies. You're going to attract. And so if your thoughts are negative and you're stacking negative thoughts, that's what you're going to attract. What you focus on expands. So if you've got a bunch of negativity and you're thinking negative thoughts, that's what's going to expand. It comes with your jokes. And this is the thing, that you'll say something and you're like, oh, I don't mean that. That's a joke. You better let your mind know that. Your mind don't know nothing. Your subconscious mind is not going to be like, yeah, he's joking. She's joking. No. It's going to find a reason to line with what you say. It's going to find a reason. It's going to help you find those reasons that are going to fall in line with what you're saying, what you're joking about. And so I'll tell people, I'm like, you got to be careful. And they'll look at me like I'm crazy, or they'll laugh me off. I'm like, okay, cool. That's your opinion. This is my opinion that I'm saying. I know what I've seen for myself. So just coming from experience, but you keep doing what you're doing. It's a good time. And so the last part here, and I think this is where we get into a lot of trouble. People will start having these ideas and then they start overthinking the shit. And then they start going doing a bunch of freaking research and then they overthink the shit and they're like, I can't do it. There's too much to it. Go swing the fucking bat and let's go. This paradox: the more information we are able to access, the more difficult it can be to make sense of it all. In other words, the more information we have, the greater the uncertainty about the way it may converge to synthesize entirely new possibilities. When you have a thought and you have a goal and you have a dream, even if it's 70% completed in your head, go after it, because trying to find out the how will come. Go after it though. Don't stop and don't sell short and don't say, well, I need 95%. I need 85%. 70% is going to serve you a lot better than you sitting there and waiting to try to get 80%, 95%, 100%. You're going to overthink it. And overthinking is a competitive disadvantage for you as an individual. That's the power of having the dream, talking to people, sharing your dream, finding people that align with you. You become the magnet. You attract the people that need to be on the mission. You attract the people that see it. But you need to have these big, audacious, hairy goals that people are going to look at you and be like, that's fucking crazy. That's not going to be able to be done. That's impossible. Cool. That's impossible for you, but I'm going to figure it out. And I may not know everything right now, but it's okay. I will build a team and I will create a team and I have people with me and we will go. And this is the thing. If you're a big visionary, dream big, create the team, bring the people on that can give you the power, the experience in that field. Let them go chase. Give them the dream. Let them know what it is and let them go after what's going to suit them, their strengths. Don't hold back. You need to go keep dreaming. Build your team. You dream. You put it out there. Find those people that are going to help you out. But too many people are like, it's only 70%. It's only 65%. I need to know 95%. No, you don't. Go and do it. Patrick and I with two native sons. This all started. I don't know how many people know this, but I was doing an exercise, and I highly suggest people doing this. It's called the 3 most important questions. One of the columns was experience. What experiences do you want in life? I wrote down writer. And then 2 hours later, met with Patrick, and Patrick was like, hey, have you thought about writing a book? I was like, you are the 5th person that has asked me this question before. I'm like, screw it. Let's go. Let's swing the bat. And we jumped into it. And then this was Friday night. The next day was Saturday. We sat down, did a mind map, started talking about different things, and just swung the bat. And now I look and see where we're at, and it is phenomenal. There's times that I look and I'm like, are you really? It's doing it? It's going? Yeah. We have these audacious goals. My biggest audacious goal with two native sons is impacting 1 billion people and being $1 billion enterprise. It will happen. 15 years is what I'm putting down. That's going to be December 31st of 2035 is the deadline. The end of 2035. Let's go. Even if it happens where we don't hit 1 billion people and we go impact 500 million people, that's still a huge number. And to understand that impacting those 500 million people, what happens for those individuals, they turn around and impact their family, their friends, their community. They impact their city, their state, their country. Because we've talked and we have it on our mind map to be international. And when I think about that, that number is huge. Okay, cool. But to envision the impact that this is going to have on the lives of others that we don't even know, that we didn't even touch, but it was those people that we impacted, they turned around and impacted other people. Man, it's the collaboration piece. Creating that net and allowing people to understand, to give themselves grace and know the greatness inside of them. It's huge. And it started with, let's write a book. Hey, have you thought about writing a book? Started with that. And the joke is the bench that we were on when we talked about this, that bench will be picked up, acquired. We're not going to go steal it. We'll talk to the city. That bench is going to be part of our office. And we have some off-the-cuff ideas with office buildings. So that bench that we had, this crazy idea, not crazy, but this just uncommon idea, this business approach, that bench is going to be in the office building. That bench is going to be there. And guess what? That will be the center point for meetings because that's where everything started, was at that bench in the park on a Friday night. Talking about, hey, have you thought about writing a book? Bam, let's go. Swing the bat. Adjust. Start finding a way. Then you pivot as you need to. But we didn't know. We had stuff, and I think maybe we were 15%, maybe 10%. But we're like, here we go. All right, this is what we need to do. This is what we want to do. This is what's going to happen. Damn right it's going to happen. Here we go. Watch out. Here we come. Oh, buddy. But up with this swath of information that we have, and people overthink because they're like, let me go do research. Screw that. It's in your heart. It's in your spirit. It's in your mind for a reason. Go. The how will come. But that's the power of creating your team, building your team. You can work together to figure out the how. You don't need to know it right now. Just know your why and the what that you have. That's going to drive you. Everything else will come. But follow the why, the how, and the why. Those are your biggest driving forces. So in here it said, up until 100 years ago, knowledge doubled about every 100 years. Think about that. Knowledge doubled every 100 years. That's a long time. By the end of World War II, it was doubling every 25 years. So it was a 25 years. So you've reduced 75 years off of that learning curve. Think about that. You went from 100 years to 25 years. Today, it is doubling every 12 months. It's doubling every year. We went from 100 years down to a year, 12 months. And the building out of the Internet of Things will see it doubling every 12 hours. Doubling half a day with the knowledge. And this is what happens with individuals. And this is the power of a coach. And this is what a coach can help out with, is you can be so inundated with information overload. You're the expert of your life, but you may have information overload. The power of a coach is somebody to sit there with you, ask questions. You are the expert of your life, but sometimes you get so overwhelmed you don't know where to go. And the issue that you run into is by talking to your friends. You may be in a circle of friends that it's groupthink. Everybody's on the same page. They don't question. They don't force you to think differently. They don't make you look at a different perspective. Sometimes they don't ask proper questions. Sometimes questions aren't even asked. Power of a coach is to help you with that, to traverse all that information that you have. You're the expert of your life. But sometimes, because you're the expert of your life, you are the person that you're with 100% of the time. So if you're not able to take off your lens and reshape your lenses and put on a different set of lenses to look at it, you're going to be stuck in the same place. You're going to be running this vicious cycle over and over again. You're going to be on the hamster wheel that you can't get off. And that's the beautiful thing about a coach. And so for me, I'm going through my coaching intensive. My avatar, the niche for me, is divorced gentlemen. That's who I focus on. Why? Because I went through it. I understand. It sucks. You start questioning, you start getting in your head and you start asking yourself these questions or you start telling yourself you're not worthy. You have these negative stories that when you think about that, the negative stories that you have impacts not only this little bubble yourself, but it starts bleeding out to other things. It impacts you within your other relationships. It impacts you within your job performance because you're dealing with the story that you're telling yourself that you're not worthy. So if you're telling yourself you're not worthy, what makes you think that you're going to go out there and perform at your top level? What makes you think you're going to be a top performer? Because you're telling yourself you're not worthy. Other people are going to have different stories. The story I had was I wasn't worthy. So I'm grateful that I went through. Why? Because it forced me to confront the path that I'm on, confront the challenges that are in front of me. And what's really, truly helped out with where I'm at today, the mindset that I have is the world of personal development. Also, finding a culture, finding teammates, finding people that see more in you than you see in yourself, and they are there to walk with you, but also they're there to push you when you don't want it. They're going to speak to you and hold up the mirror when you don't want to do that. Because guess what? It's going to reflect back is the thing you do not want to see. And so it's one of those things that your mindset starts everything. It's thoughts that you have. Your thoughts lead to feelings. Your feelings lead to actions. Your actions lead to results. Like I said, the bottom line with that is your thoughts. That's where everything starts. But if you don't find your tribe, you don't find people that can lift you up and challenge you and push you, challenge you in a good way and push you, you're going to be stuck. If you think you can do this on your own, you are sadly mistaken. Because as humans, we're social creatures. And guess what? You're with yourself 100% of the time. So if you do not break down that vicious cycle of the negative story that you're telling yourself, and you don't have anybody else that can jump in there and be a deflector of that negative story and push that story back, you don't have anybody that can interrupt that, what makes you think you're going to change? What makes you think you're going to be able to change your thoughts? You're not going to be able to. And you can argue with me and you can be like, no, Scott's making no sense here. No. And then you got to think about it. If you got your same friends that you've been around with that same mindset and you're trying to change, those aren't the people that you want to hang around with. That may be the individual that you have to look and be like, yep, I've got to limit you to about 5 minutes a year, if that. Maybe right now you can't have them in your life. Maybe they need to sit on the sideline and watch you grow and then have them question themselves and be like, what do I need to do differently? What is he doing differently that I'm not doing? Why is he in a better spot? Why is he in a better headspace? Why does he seem happier? So it's just one of these things that you really have to think. But where I'm at now is as a result of the journey, as a result of the divorce taking place. It's crazy to think that's a horrible position. That sucks. But you know what? Grateful for it. Because it really forced me to confront the ugliness inside of me. It caused me to confront my mindset. Love it. Beautiful. Guess what? That gives a guide for my kids, for my 2 daughters. Because guess what? They're their own individual self. They're my kids, but they're their own individual people. And they've got to grow. And so letting them make mistakes, letting them learn, it's a beautiful thing. So an example here, my oldest had sent me a text and she's like, Dad, Mom's mad at me. I was like, okay, what did you do? What happened? And she's like, well, she's mad at me because I didn't turn in a test and it's hybrid. So it was an online class and whatnot. And she's mad at me and she said, I'm in trouble. My cell phone time is going to be limited because you got a cell phone. And so I asked her, I was like, okay, you're in school right now. As a student, what's your responsibility? What's your job? And she's like, I've got to do the work. I've got to get it done. I was like, okay. So you know what your responsibility is as a student. Your responsibility is to focus on your schoolwork, to get that done. I know school may not be the thing that interests you, but you've got to do something. You got to look at it differently. You've got to ask your kids these questions. You've got to present it in a way that they think for themselves. Allow them to come to the conclusion. It's all about questions. It's all about what you ask. And so I was like, okay, so you understand your responsibility as a student is to get your work done. What else do we need to do? I need to make sure that I'm focused and know due dates. Okay. So what are we going to do going forward to be better? Make sure that I'm paying attention. Okay. So we live and learn and we go forward. So I understand your mom's mad at you. Go and apologize that you messed up and go forth. But it's interesting. Questions are powerful. Sometimes we don't want to ask the questions, or we're not asking the right questions, or we're wording the questions wrong. And you're not allowing the person to come to their own conclusion, to learn and look. A lot of times we're jumping in the way and trying to give the answer to our kids. And that may not be the answer that they need. They are their own individual self. They are the expert of their own life. Yes, we're parents. We're older. We've gone and grown up as kids. So we've experienced that. But it's the same thing. You'll have people that will be like, what should I do? Okay, well, what do you think you should do? What would life look like if this wasn't an issue? Too many times we try to give our reason or we give what we would do. But guess what? What happens if you give that advice and that's what you would do, and you give that advice to that person and they go do it and it doesn't work out? They're going to come back and be pissed at you. They're going to be mad because you're giving them advice that's for you, not for them. But too many times we're out here to give advice. We're like, hey, here's some advice. Here's some advice. You get some advice. You get some advice. We all get some advice. Like, screw that shit. You got to ask questions. You got to understand we are the expert of our own life. You got to be a hero of your own journey. You got to be your own hero. Nobody else can do it for you. So, as I always say, any aha moments that you took away from this, leave it in the comments. Would love to hear that. I know people, you know what? That's one way to gain education is the conversations that you have with people. A way to have conversations with people is by having comments. Leave comments. Anything that was an aha moment for you, leave that. And don't be fearful of the judgment. Whatever it is, don't be fearful. You're judged 100% of the time. You know what? Who the worst judge of you as a person is yourself. That inner voice in your head. Go punch it in the face and go find some courage in the face of fear. And leave what was an aha moment for you. Or what is something that you look at it differently? Let's hear that. I'm all for it. Leave it. Let's go. But if you have a dream in your heart, if you have a inkling of something that you want to do, you have an inkling of the purpose for your life, but you just don't know really how to tap into it, because you're still living with the paradigm, the stories that somebody else has stuck in your head, reach out to me. Reach out to individuals that you've seen make comments on these videos before. Anybody that's liked the video, anybody that loves the video, click on that, see who it is. Reach out to them. The more the merrier. I'm not the expert. I'm not the end-all, be-all. I'm not the person that has all the answers. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. So, but if you have anything, reach out. Don't be fearful. There's no judgment here. I think that's the biggest thing that people have to understand. There is no judgment when it comes to sitting down talking to me. Why? Because we're already judged by everybody else. So find somebody that can sit there with you, hold space for you, be in the shit with you when you don't feel like anybody else will do it. It's tough, though, because sometimes when people start doing that and they sit down in the shit with you, it can be scary for them. they can freak out too. So that's a tough thing. But other than that, thank you guys for your time. Any comments you want to leave them. Let's hear what's going on, hear your thoughts, hear your thought process and whatnot. Any aha moments. Love to hear it. I truly enjoy hearing the opinions of others, and I truly enjoy seeing how people look at different things and whatnot. But like I started the live here, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Within Two Native Sons, that collaborative net that we have, Tabala, our Mexican cuisine. Thank you, Jasper, for trusting us, and we're just excited to see you grow, and we're excited to be there with you and help you out. So thank you, though. If you guys are watching this and you keep hearing the sponsorship piece and you're wondering how that works, or you're wondering what that looks like, send us a message. Send myself, send Patrick a message. We'll let you know what's going on. See if it's a good fit for you or not. We don't want to take everybody on. Honestly, we don't, because not everybody's going to fit us. So we're looking for those people that specifically fit us. Dream big, see big, understand the power of collaboration. Just understand one of the questions I'll ask you is, are you open to talking to people in your industry? Or are you scared because it's competition? You got to be truthful. People can read the energy, and you can be like, no, I like collaboration, when you really don't. And you're lying to yourself and you're lying to other people. People can pick up on that. So don't lie. Just be open, be truthful, and stand with your truth. If you don't like collaboration and you look at everybody as your competition, hey, that's cool. That's you. Stick with it. Don't sway. Be true to yourself. Be your solid self. Don't be a pseudo self. So again, thank you guys for your time. Hope you enjoyed the live. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Go find another live, I guess. But other than that, I love you guys. I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace.